That's what happens when you have a busy news day. Action XA is taking the IEC to the Electoral Court after the party's name was left out from the ballot list ahead of the upcoming local government elections. The party had given the commission until 10 a.m. on Monday to fix its name on the ballot papers, and the IEC failed to respond on time. The party is now holding a media briefing to outline its next step against the IEC. Let's take you there live.
Presentation of ballot papers any time before then. The IEC chose a ballot paper design. In this ballot paper design, it elected that a ward candidate ballot paper would consist of a ward candidate name, the logo of the party, and the abbreviated name of the party. So 3 identifiers for which voters must identify their political party or candidate of choice. The PR ballot papers were to consist of the name of the party, the logo of the party, and the abbreviated name of the party. Our primary issue is with the ward ballot paper, although that problem continues to persist in the PR and the district ballot papers. Critically, what I must draw your attention to at this point in time is that the IEC had previously commissioned a study by the Human Sciences Research Council, the HSRC. We know this because this study was instrumental in the IEC's refusal of our registration as a political party in November last year. Interestingly, it is this study of the IEC that says it is the name and the abbreviated name of the party that are the most important identifiers for political parties. Let me repeat that. The IEC's HSRC report said the name and the abbreviated name of the party are the most important identifiers of a political party. Now, this should have carried through into all the decision making that took place around the ballot design and preparation for these 2021 local government elections. Our request for this issue to be remedied was a reasonable request, it was a rational request, and it was a request that was born with the interests of voters in South Africa. In other words, the interests of South African voters being able to readily express their choice without experiencing any difficulty. The decision to refuse this request meant that Action SA supporters would lose one of 3 identifiers, being the abbreviated name of the party, and by the IEC study, the most important identifier from the ballot paper. What concerns Action SA most is that it is the Electoral Commission's responsibility to run free and fair elections. We know a critical component of this by their own study is the ease with which a voter can identify their political party of choosing on the ballot paper. It is beyond any imagination as to why, with these responsibilities to run free and fair elections, the Commission would not remedy this issue at the time it was brought to their attention, at the time in which ballot papers were being signed off, and proceed to print these ballot papers irregardless of this objection. Part of our communications with the IEC was to refer to the following. When we raised this issue on Sunday, the 3rd of October, it was far earlier in this process. In other words, the ability to remedy this issue was far greater on the 3rd of October when this issue was brought to the attention of the IEC. And we have made it very clearly known in our communications that at no point should it now be said later down the line, if a court of this country deems it necessary for this issue to be remedied, that it can't be remedied because time is not on their side. Beyond this, I would like to point out a very further important deficiency of this ballot paper design. When you have an empty block in a ballot paper where the abbreviated name of the party will go, that empty block resides directly next to the empty block where voters are meant to cast their vote. What is going to happen in this country, without any question, is if those ballot papers proceed to be used on election day, some voters will put their cross in the wrong block. And there will be a dynamic at voting stations where at 3 o'clock in the morning, this issue will be left to the discretion of presiding officers and party agents to determine whether the intent of the voter is clear. This is an enormous deficiency based on practical experience of how counting takes place in our country. The most important question we should be asking ourselves is, why is it that the IEC would not want to remedy this issue? This is the kind of issue that the IEC should be actively seeking to remedy, given their obligations to run free and fair elections and their obligations to make sure that voters are able to express themselves very clearly on the day of elections. I would like to make it known that we have grown increasingly concerned when it comes to our interactions with the IEC, that over a period of time it is without any question that a series of events have taken place in which Action SA continuously seems to be on the losing end of these interactions. Perhaps we are a very unfortunate party, maybe it is all coincidence, but the reality is these things are impacting our organisation and our ability to operate and provide a message to the people of South Africa. It began when we tried to register as a political party. When we tried to register as a political party, our registration was refused. We had to appeal at enormous legal cost to the Commission, in which we won on one grounds of appeal and lost on the other. You will be aware that Action SA has been in a protracted engagements with the IEC as it pertains to this Political Party Funding Act, and specifically this Multi-Party Democracy Fund, where the IEC has taken it upon themselves to actively communicate the fund's existence, to engage with prospective donors, and to encourage people to donate to a fund that will exclusively benefit only those political parties that are represented in Parliament, not anybody else. Last week, you will be aware that the IEC published the list of candidates that will be contesting all the PR and ward seats in South Africa. You will also be aware that when this was published on Wednesday night, Action SA's candidates were not published on that list. Despite dealing with it consistently since then and being told the issue is remedied, I am informed that as of this morning was the first time that Action SA's candidates have been on those lists. Any South African voter who has gone onto those lists to see who is contesting my ward and who I should consider voting for would not have known until this morning that Action SA is contesting their ward. And of course now the issue we are here with today, an issue that threatens the ability of voters to identify Action SA as a political party that's been in existence for a year and 3 weeks and is contesting political parties that has been in existence for years and decades. I think with that I will end my remarks, other than to say it is my pleasure to introduce our legal team who is here with us today. Wendell Bloom is the lead attorney in this matter. He is the director of Nkabela Huntley Attorneys and an individual who has worked with Action SA in our legal cases in many matters, most notably the Lily Mine case. He is joined by Advocate Tebogo Raikane of the Pabasa Chambers. I think at this point in time you will all be very keen to know the specifics of our legal application, and let me ensure that someone more qualified to do so is given that task. Thank you very much, Wendell. Yeah. Swap seats.
Thank you, Michael, and good morning, everyone. What Michael has set out for yourselves is ostensibly the history of this matter, together with certain aspects of the law. And I won't be going into the factual background of this. What I'll do is I'll be explaining to South Africa what is the essence of the court application as well as the court processes. I am with, as Michael has indicated, I'm the lead attorney in this matter. I'm joined by Advocate Tebogo Raikane, and in our absence, our lead advocate, which is Advocate Adila Asim Essi, Senior Counsel. So that is the legal team that is leading this matter. This morning we received confirmation from the Electoral Court. The Electoral Court is seated at the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein, and they provided us with the case number in this matter, so our application has been acknowledged. And the essence of our of our application is we're asking the Electoral Court to declare that the respondent's decision, the respondent is the IEC, to declare that decision to exclude on the 2021 municipal elections ballot paper for the elections to be held on 1 November, the name of the applicant and failing to uphold the applicant's objection to the exclusion of the name from the 2021 municipal elections ballot paper. And secondly, we're asking the court to set aside that decision by the respondent to exclude the applicant's name from the 2021 election ballot paper. We are then asking the court to direct that the commission must, without delay, include the name of the applicant and on the 2021 municipal ballot paper, and that the commission must, in those wards where the municipal ballot papers have been published without the name of the applicant, destroy all copies of same and reissue and reprint such municipal papers, including the full name of the applicant. So that is ostensibly the relief that we are seeking. It's a review application on an urgent basis, asking the court to declare that a certain decision is unconstitutional and it is unlawful, and to set aside that decision, and then directing that the commission must, without delay, include the name of the applicant and destroy those ballots, those ballot papers that have been printed in the interim. And we are saying that the decision to exclude Action SA from the ballot papers is inconsistent with Section 19 and Section 190 of the Constitution, as well as Section 15 of the Electoral Commission Act, and is an irrational decision. And we're saying, as is, the constitutional rights of Action SA are being violated. And Mr. Beaumont went into great detail as to what that violation is on a practical level and on a constitutional level. We further go on to say that the Act does not require an abbreviated name. And Mr. Beaumont has also in detail dealt with Section 15 of the Electoral Commissions Act. So Section 15 of the Electoral Commissions Act requires the Chief Electoral Officer, upon application by a party such as Action SA, to register a party in accordance with that specific chapter. It then asks that the form shall inter alia make provision for the following, which is the name of the party, the distinguishing mark or symbol of the party in color, and the abbreviation, and those are called the identifiers. And Mr. Beaumont has already dealt with Section 15.2c, in which we say that it is clear that Section 15.2c allows political parties an option to elect whether or not to use an abbreviation. And what we are saying is that that election of using an abbreviation in a registration document is not a waiver of your rights as to what appears on a ballot paper. I'll repeat it again. The completion of a registration form where you're given an option of having an abbreviated name or not is not a waiver for your rights to have what appears on the ballot paper. And that's important. That's very important. And then we deal with Regulation 12, which basically deals with the identifiers. And we've made it clear to, well, Action SA has made it clear to Mr. Shiburi that, in fact, what it's not seeking is a change of its identifiers. It is saying that a certain section of the ballot paper is blank because the importance of the identifier aspect is that it requires an entire process with regards, in terms of it's Section 16.1 of the Electoral Commissions Act. There's an entire process if you want to change your identifiers. You need to publish in the Government Gazette and all those manner of activities that you need to conduct. And then we're saying to the court that this matter is urgent. With each passing day, the urgency just increases, because we could sit, as we are sitting, we could have a situation where ballot papers are being printed. And on that basis, we say to the court, we are here on an urgent basis, and we further go on to tell the court that it's just and it's equitable to be seeking what we are seeking within this context, bearing in mind everything I've just mentioned to you. So how does the process work? So last night, we've lodged on the IEC together with the Electoral Court at the Supreme Court of Appeal our notice of motion, our founding affidavit, our annexures, as well as proof that the actual application was served on the IEC. What now follows is the IEC has until 12 noon today to file a notice to oppose or a notice to abide. Should it file a notice to oppose, then it has until 12 noon tomorrow, which I think is the 7th, to file its answering affidavit. Action SA then, in the event of receiving that answering affidavit, has until close of business on the 7th, which is tomorrow, to file any replying affidavit. And we want to be in court this coming Friday before the Electoral Court. But that is all subject to the directions and directives of the Electoral Court that we have not yet received. As I've indicated, what we have received from the Electoral Court is the acknowledgement of the application together with a case number, and we have that available. So that is where we are at. The first order of business for the IEC is to indicate by 12 noon today whether they are in fact opposing this application, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the framework of the legal approach in terms of what we ostensibly say in our legal papers, number one. And number two, the processes going forward in the court hearing this matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Counsel. I do have my own mic. I forgot about it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, just before I hand over to Mr. Mashaba, I have been informed that members of the media who are here this morning, you're welcome to send your questions for the Q&A to me via WhatsApp should you wish to do so. Otherwise, you're welcome to ask them yourselves at the end. At this point, I would like to call to the podium or to the microphone the President of Action SA, Mr. Herman Mashaba, to really take you through the concerns of the highest decision-making body of our organization, which is the Action SA Interim Senate, their contentions with regards to our interactions with the IEC. Mr. Mashaba.
Thank you, Lerato. And it's not working. What do I need to do? What do I press?
Yeah.
Commercial green.
Let's be green.
What? Press now.
This battery is actually dying. This battery is dying. Give me the other one.
You take the other one.
Okay, this is fine. Yeah. Sorry.
It's sanitized.
Okay, sorry about this. Thank you, Lerato. Thank you, Michael. Thanks to our legal team. And I'd also like to really thank you, the media, and our fellow South Africans. As you can imagine, the last few days, what we as Action SA had to really go through. Was this really necessary? Here we're dealing with the Chapter 9 Independent Electoral Commission. We're not dealing with someone running a stokvel. This, we're talking about the future of this country. Because when you're in an environment where there's any doubt whatsoever of elections not being free and fair, you can imagine what you are doing to the future of this country, to the future of my children and their grandchildren. Michael has already indicated to you this pattern of sabotage. Sabotage, and in fact I call it sabotage because this has really been a trend, has been a pattern since the registration of our attempt to register as Action SA. And I'm unapologetic about this, that I don't really take this to be an oversight. I take this to be a deliberate efforts by the IEC to frustrate our efforts to participate in these elections. But I would like to really assure people of this country, South Africans, that as Action SA, one of our core values is the rule of law. There is just no way that we're going to allow anyone to trample on our rights as South Africans to participate in elections and in a free and fair elections. And we expect the IEC to really play that role. I'd really like to think it's been overwhelming, it's been humbling the last few days, messages of support that we've been receiving from ordinary South Africans, professional South Africans, other political parties, but at the same time, we've observed the total arrogance of the IEC. Why they've decided to really take this poise, it's actually unimaginable. I'd find that I will have no words to describe why the IEC has taken a decision, a clear decision, to really be on the side of Action SA. How do they expect us, after spending so much on marketing Action SA, and at the time when South Africans must be given an opportunity on the 1st of November to vote for us as Action SA, IEC has just took an arbitrary decision to reduce us to a logo. We are not a logo. We are a political party. If you look at the papers, we are registered as Action SA with 8 characters. There is no reason whatsoever for us to be anything else, and I cannot really understand why IEC believes that Action SA needed to have abbreviation. For what? It is their role as an independent electoral commission, if ever they had any misunderstanding, to have picked up a phone, not really use their own discretion in deciding for us. So I'd really like to assure South Africans that their strategy, the intention to disrupt us from campaigning, can only make us more determined. I can assure South Africans I'm more determined to campaign to ensure that South Africans are given an opportunity on the 1st of November to vote for the party of their choice without any ambiguity. It's got to be clear what they're voting for. We are not going to allow South Africans to vote for a logo. We are not a logo. We are a political party registered with the Independent Electoral Commission as Action SA. So this matter is really of such grave concern. They've disrupted us, but one thing for sure is that they've made us much more determined. You can imagine the legal cost, the disruption. I was talking to Wendell, the lead attorney in this matter. Are you aware that he's never had a sleep since yesterday to ensure that these papers are submitted on time, because this matter is extremely urgent. Our voters out there are envious, are desperate. I think I see some people actually already starting a campaign to say, please, people know this, let's start promoting this logo. We are not going to be a party reduced to a logo by the IEC. We are going to contest as Action SA. How the IEC must deal with this matter, it's up to the courts to really decide. We feel very positive as Action SA that we have the right to contest as Action SA. And what I really find really very interesting, and that's something that we're going to pursue even beyond this particular matter, whether on Saturday when we brought this matter to the attention of IEC, whether the printing had already begun or not. Because personally, as Herman Mashaba, I have very, very strong suspicions that there was no printing that had begun on Saturday when we brought this matter to the attention of the IEC. So we are going to pursue it. Let us first deal with one thing at a time. and afterwards we will then deal with the secondary matter, whether what they were claiming that the printing had already begun, whether it had already begun. Because if that is the case, this is something of concern to me. And I think, fellow South Africans, I just want to share this with you. One of my greatest concerns, and I have a sense that the IEC is doing everything possible to declare these elections not free and fair. They're looking at every trick. They started first with, instead of ensuring that South Africans within the constitutional framework vote before the 1st of November. Instead, they took a decision to start a commission to justify that by 1st of November, South Africans will be dying from COVID-19. And I wonder how they feel right now. COVID-19 numbers are coming down. And without really any application of their minds, because I have a feeling it looks like when they commissioned this study, it was already a predetermined decision to postpone these elections. And now that that particular matter has failed, the Constitutional Court of this country declared their act to be unconstitutional. Now they're looking for other excuses, and in particular Action SA. And ask yourself then, why Action SA? Why Action SA? We are placed as a party that since 1994, we're the only party, we're the last hope for this country. We're the only party that's actually threatening ANC, because the 6 municipalities we decided to participate in, we did not participate to be in opposition benches. We are participating. We took a strategic decision to really look at unseating the ANC and put in a government that can serve the interest of South Africa and save this country. Starting with local government, upcoming local government elections. That's why we did not contest all the 278, which is just decided on the 6. Take them after the elections, run them properly, demonstrate to South Africans that we can turn around this country, that South Africa can be fixed. We believe South Africa can be fixed. The 27 years of this abuse, the 27 years of this virus, we believe as Action SA, we've taken a decision that we are going to destroy this virus, and we are going to use 2 jabs. Whether IEC likes it or not, we are going to start on the 1st of November 2021, apply the first jab. Action SA is a vaccine to save this country. And we will conclude and complete this mission to save South Africa and fix South Africa in 2024, when South Africans, Action SA has given them hope that this country can be fixed. And we will call upon South Africans to come out in their numbers with the second jab to completely destroy this virus that has destroyed millions of our fellow South Africans. 12 million of our South Africans are unemployed today. We're the mega capital of the world. Just in July, just over 100 of our people murdered by internal ANC factions. And the president, a week or so later, with his iPad, stood in front of this nation in what he calls a family meeting to give promotions to the people who were supposed to have actually stopped this carnage that happened. Over 300 people, plus 50 billion rands of property destroyed, businesses destroyed. And that's one of the cases that we are working on as Action SA. In fact, our lawyers, because of the complexity of this matter, we've taken this matter to represent companies that did not have insurance on this particular matter. We've got over 500 businesses that have registered with us. We have a team of 10 top lawyers who are representing us on a pro bono basis. So that's why I'm saying to you, we are the vaccine that is going to destroy this virus that has destroyed thousands and millions of our people, with our schooling system dysfunctional, our infrastructure, backlog in the city of Johannesburg when I was a mayor, 170 billion rand. So you can imagine on a national basis, our rail network completely destroyed. The level of corruption, just in 27 years, South Africa is known all over the world to be the most corrupt nation on earth. This represents me. I don't want to stand in front of the world to be regarded as a thief. I don't want to stand in front of the world to be regarded as a rapist, because South Africa is known today as the rape capital of the world. I don't want to stand in front of the world to be regarded as a murderer, because South Africa, it's a murder capital of the world. All this happened in just 27 years. This is important. These elections on the 1st of November are very important, and South Africans needs to be given an opportunity to elect and vote for the party of their choice without any ambiguity. And it is the responsibility of the IEC as an independent electoral commission to ensure that they do what is right. And if not, they are not willing to do it voluntarily, then we'll use our courts to force them to do so. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Mr. Mashaba. I will now open for your questions. If you're not ready.
Well, abbreviation for what? The leaders of Action SA, Herman Mashaba, decrying a Chapter 9 institution. He says the IEC are frustrating his party's efforts to participate in the upcoming local government elections and in the process risking a questionable poll result. He says the IEC has taken an arbitrary decision to reduce the party to a logo, saying that the Action SA is the only party that's actually threatening the ANC. Vendel Bloom, announced as lead attorney in Action SA's legal application to the Electoral Court, working with Advocate Debogo Raikane and Adila Hasim Esi. The Electoral Court, he says, has provided them with the case number, meaning their application will be heard, and the application to declare the decision by the IEC to exclude the name of Action SA on the ballot to be set aside. What are your thoughts? Do you think this is a winnable case? Let us know at _SABC. Let's take a break.